The signal came on a quiet Tuesday morning at the SETI Institute in New Mexico. Dr. Sarah Chin had almost missed it, mistaking the irregular pulses for typical deep space noise. But there was a pattern, desperate, repeating, and unmistakably artificial. Within hours, observatories worldwide confirmed what humanity had long speculated: we were not alone. But first contact wasn't the triumphant moment of technological exchange that scientists had imagined. Instead, it was a cry for help. The vessel appeared 3 days later, materializing just beyond lunar orbit. Its hull bore the scars of weapons fire, and its engines flickered weakly against the backdrop of stars. The ship was massive, nearly 2 kilometers long, but thermal scans showed power failing across multiple sectors. This wasn't an invasion force or a diplomatic mission. This was a refugee ship. "We're picking up thousands of life signs," Dr. Chin reported to the hastily assembled UN Security Council via video link. But here's the thing, they're mostly children. Different species, different biological signatures. This isn't just a refugee ship, it's an evacuation of multiple worlds. Admiral James Hayes of the U.S. Space Force leaned forward in his chair at the Pentagon. "What's chasing them?" "Whatever it is," Chin replied, "they're terrified enough to trust their children to the void of space." The decision to help wasn't unanimous, but it was quick. Humanity had its share of problems: climate challenges, political tensions, resource concerns, but no nation was willing to turn away a ship full of children, even alien ones. The real challenges began when they tried to bring the ship into orbit. Earth's space technology was primitive compared to the refugee vessel, but the ship's systems were so damaged that even docking would be dangerous. That's when humanity showed its true innovation. "We can't go to them? Fine, we'll bring them to us." Maria Santos, a Brazilian mining engineer, proposed a radical solution. Using modified oil drilling platforms and a network of electromagnetic fields, they could create a makeshift landing cradle in the Pacific Ocean. It was crazy, dangerous, and exactly the kind of thinking needed. Teams worldwide worked around the clock. Chinese electromagnetic specialists collaborated with American aerospace engineers. Russian submarine commanders advised on deep-sea construction alongside Australian marine biologists. The project should have taken years. They did it in 17 days. The landing itself was a testament to human determination. As the massive ship descended through the atmosphere, guided by makeshift tractor beams powered by repurposed particle accelerator technology, humanity held its breath. The vessel's hull groaned under stresses it was never designed to endure. Several sections broke away, but teams of rescue helicopters were ready, plucking the falling debris from the sky in a ballet of unprecedented precision. When the ship finally settled into its oceanic cradle, the true scope of humanity's commitment became clear. The first teams to enter found environmental systems failing and food supplies nearly exhausted. But they also found something unexpected: hope. The children, ranging from infant size to adolescent, represented 12 different species. Some breathed nitrogen, others methane. Some had exoskeletons, others had multiple hearts. All of them were scared, and all of them needed help. Dr. Elena Rossi, a pediatrician from Milan, was among the first human medical professionals to enter the ship. "They're just children," she would later write in her memoir. "Different shapes, different biologies, but their eyes, all of them have eyes. They look at you the same way any scared child would. They want to know if they're safe, if someone will help them. How could we say no?" The discovery of their caretakers, a handful of adult aliens who had sacrificed everything to save these children, painted a grim picture. Their worlds had been attacked by a species known as the Harvesters, who saw young aliens as resources to be collected and exploited. The adults had launched this desperate mission knowing they would likely never see their own worlds again. As the first month drew to a close, Earth had changed. The Pacific Cradle, as it came to be known, became a symbol of humanity's potential. Schools worldwide began incorporating xenobiology into their curricula. Children sent drawings and toys to their alien counterparts. Hospitals developed new treatments based on alien physiologies. But in the dark between the stars, something was moving. The harvesters had lost their prey, and they weren't happy about it. Humanity's first act on the galactic stage had been one of compassion. Their second would need to be one of defense. Dr. Chien stood on the deck of a converted aircraft carrier, watching teams of workers strengthen the Pacific Cradle's defenses. A small alien child, crystalline in structure, refracting the sunset in beautiful patterns, stood beside her, holding her hand with appendages that felt like warm glass. "We'll protect you," she promised, knowing the child couldn't understand her words, but hoping it could sense her conviction. "Whatever comes next, you're under humanity's protection now." She didn't know it then, but those words would soon be tested in ways no one could have imagined. The Pacific Cradle had transformed into a city of its own within 3 months. Floating platforms surrounded the massive alien vessel, connected by bridges that looked like silver spider webs against the ocean's surface. But the real miracles were happening inside, where humanity was learning to care for children who had evolved on worlds they could barely imagine. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the crystalline nursery, watching as the silicon-based infants absorbed nutrients through their faceted surfaces. When they'd first arrived, these children had been dying, their natural photosynthetic processes failing without their home world's unique radiation spectrum. The solution had come from an unexpected source, a Japanese LED manufacturer. "It's like growing diamonds in a garden," Maya explained to the visiting UN delegation. The specially designed LED arrays pulsed with precisely calibrated wavelengths, mimicking the light of a star thousands of light years away. The crystalline infants glowed with health, their surfaces prismatic and clear. In another section, Dr. Marcus Williams, a veterinarian from Kenya, had revolutionized care for the methane-breathing juveniles. "They're not so different from Earth's deep-sea creatures," he explained while checking the pressure gauges. "We adapted technology from deep ocean vents to create their habitats. The real breakthrough was figuring out their digestive processes." That breakthrough had come from a collaboration between a brewery worker and a molecular gastronomist. They discovered that the methane breathers could process modified yeast products, providing essential nutrients that had been missing from their emergency rations. But it wasn't just about keeping them alive. Humanity had taken on the responsibility of raising these children, teaching them, helping them process their trauma. The Universal Language Project, headed by Dr. Ana Torres, had made remarkable progress in cross-species communication. "Children want to play," Ana said, watching as human kids in sealed environmental suits played a modified version of soccer with young aliens who moved by rolling like balls themselves. Once you understand that basic desire, you can build bridges across any biological gap. The adult alien caretakers who had survived the journey proved invaluable, but they too needed human help. Many were suffering from radiation exposure and injuries sustained during their escape. Earth's medical communities rallied, adapting treatments and developing new technologies. Sarah Chin, now the director of Xenocultural Relations, had established a database matching alien species with Earth environments that approximated their home worlds. The Himalayan peaks provided comfort to high-pressure species. Deep ocean facilities hosted water breathers. The Sahara's heat helped sustain the plasma-based youngsters. But not everything was proceeding smoothly. Anti-alien protests had broken out in several countries. Resources were stretched thin. Some religious groups declared the aliens an abomination, while others embraced them as miracle. Through it all, the children continued to learn, grow, and heal. The breakthrough in understanding their pursuers came from an unlikely source. A group of teenage aliens, representing 3 different species, had begun drawing the same image repeatedly, a dark shape that consumed light, surrounded by smaller shapes that resembled surgical tools. "The harvesters don't just take children," explained Dr. Victor Rosenberg, a child psychologist working with the trauma survivors. "They reshape them. These kids didn't just flee from slavery, they fled from forced evolution." The revelation sent shockwaves through Earth's scientific community. The harvesters were biological engineers who saw other species as raw material. They captured young aliens to modify them into biological tools, weapons, and processing units. This knowledge only strengthened humanity's resolve. Defense systems around the Pacific Cradle were enhanced. Military forces worldwide conducted joint exercises, preparing for possible space combat. But the most significant preparations weren't military in nature. "We need to understand their technology better than they do," declared Dr. Li Wei, heading a new international research initiative. The refugee ship itself became a university where human scientists worked alongside alien adults, learning about technologies centuries ahead of Earth's development. Progress came in unexpected ways. A 10-year-old girl in Seattle designed a more efficient waste recycling system for the methane breathers after watching how her pet hamster managed its cage. A retired watchmaker in Switzerland created precision tools for maintaining the crystalline children's growing matrices. As the 6-month mark approached, Earth had changed profoundly. The presence of the alien children had sparked a renaissance in human innovation. Medical breakthroughs were happening weekly. New materials and technologies were being developed based on observations of alien biology. But more importantly, humanity had found a common purpose. "We're not just protecting them," Sarah Chin remarked during a global broadcast. "They're teaching us who we can be. Every solution we develop, every challenge we overcome, shows us more about our own potential." In orbit, the first of Earth's new defense satellites took position, incorporating principles learned from the refugee ship's technology. On the ocean's surface, the Pacific cradle glowed with the combined light of 1,000 alien children learning to trust again. But time was running out. Long-range sensors, newly modified with alien assistance, had detected gravitational distortions at the edge of the solar system. The harvesters were coming, and Earth would soon face its greatest test, not just of its military might or technological advancement, but of its commitment to protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. They came without warning or ultimatum. The harvester ships emerged from gravitational distortion like predators rising from deep water, sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb both light and hope. Earth's newly established defense grid registered 12 ships, each larger than the refugee vessel they'd sheltered 6 months ago. Admiral Hayes stood in the Global Defense Command Center, established in the heart of the Pacific Cradle. "How many?" he asked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Main vessel is 4 kilometers in length," reported Commander Yuki Tanaka, her fingers dancing across holographic displays they'd only recently learned to create. 11 support ships, each about 1 kilometer. They're positioning themselves in a containment pattern. On screens worldwide, humanity watched as the harvester fleet spread out, forming a net around Earth's orbital space. Their ships moved with an organic fluidity that made them seem alive, and perhaps they were. The adult refugees had warned that harvester technology blurred the line between machine and biology. But humanity hadn't been idle during the months of preparation. The Pacific Cradle, once just a sanctuary, had become the center of Earth's most ambitious technological revolution. Dr. Li Wei's research team had transformed the refugee ship's defensive systems into something new, something uniquely human. "They're scanning us," announced Dr. Chin from her station. Multiple frequencies, trying to locate specific biological signatures. They all knew what that meant. The harvesters were looking for their lost resources. "Activate the Lighthouse Protocol," Hayes ordered. Across Earth's surface, thousands of modified broadcasting stations came online. Each emitted carefully crafted biological signatures, creating a planet-wide camouflage network. The idea had come from studying cuttlefish. If you can't hide, confuse. The harvester fleet paused, their sensors presumably overwhelmed by the cacophony of false signals. That's when Earth launched its first surprise. From hidden bases in the Marianas Trench, submarines retrofitted with alien tech released swarms of what looked like mechanical jellyfish. These drones, inspired by Earth's deep-sea life and powered by reverse-engineered alien tech, began silently rising toward the harvester fleet. "They're expecting us to defend from orbit," Hayes explained to the United Earth Council via secure link. "They're not looking down." The first sign that something was wrong came when the smallest harvester ship suddenly lost power, its organic mechanical systems disrupted by the jellyfish drone's electromagnetic pulses. The ship didn't crash, the harvesters had backup systems, but it listed like a wounded animal. The response was immediate and terrifying. The remaining harvester ships released clouds of what looked like metallic insects, each the size of a small car. These hunter-seekers dove toward Earth, their purpose clear, to find and retrieve their targets. But Earth had prepared for this too. The skies lit up with defense systems based on Tesla's forgotten theories about particle beams, modified with alien insights. Networks of ground-based emitters created electromagnetic fields that turned the atmosphere itself into a weapon against the mechanical insects. "They fight like machines," observed Colonel Maria Rodriguez, watching the battle unfold. "Predictable patterns, optimal solutions." But war isn't a math problem. She was right. The harvesters' superior technology was hampered by their rigid, algorithmic thinking. They couldn't understand why humans would place defensive units in inefficient positions until those positions revealed themselves as perfect ambush points. But the harvesters weren't easily defeated. Their main ship released a pulse that temporarily disabled Earth's satellite network, and their remaining hunter-seekers began adapting to the atmospheric defenses. That's when the children, the very ones they had come to reclaim, provided the key to resistance. A group of adolescent refugees, working with human scientists, had discovered something about harvester technology. It couldn't process chaos. Their biological mechanical systems required patterns, predictability. Human warfare, with its emphasis on deception and irregular strategy, confused their targeting systems. "Launch Operation Firefly," Hayes commanded. Across the globe, millions of tiny drones took flight. Built in secret by thousands of hobbyist groups working with plans shared online, each drone was slightly different, slightly unpredictable. They weren't powerful enough to damage the harvester ships directly, but they didn't need to be. Their chaotic flight patterns created a field of quantum uncertainty that the harvester's organic technology couldn't process. The battle raged for 3 days. The harvesters, for the first time in their long history of collecting species, faced resistance they couldn't simply overpower. Every time they adapted to one human strategy, 3 more emerged. When they disabled one defense system, 2 more activated. But victory came at a cost. Cities had been damaged, lives had been lost, and humanity had been forced to confront the true scale of galactic threats. Yet they had done something unprecedented. They had fought the harvesters to a standstill. When the main harvester ship finally broadcast a communication, it wasn't a demand or a threat. It was a question, transmitted in the mathematical language the refugees had taught them to understand. How do you create order from chaos? Dr. Chin, working with the translation team, sent back humanity's answer: "We don't. We thrive in it." The harvester fleet retreated, their remaining ships vanishing into gravitational distortions. But everyone knew this wasn't the end. The harvesters would return, better prepared and more determined. Earth had won its first galactic battle, but the war for the right to protect their adopted children had only begun. In the Pacific cradle, human and alien children watched the light show of battle fade from the sky. Together, they represented something the harvesters couldn't understand: the strength that comes from embracing difference, the power of choosing to protect rather than exploit. Earth had declared itself a sanctuary, and now the galaxy knew humanity would fight to maintain that promise. The month following the first harvester attack transformed Earth more than any other period in human history. The Pacific cradle, though damaged, became the heart of a new kind of human civilization, one that had proven itself capable of standing against advanced alien threats. Admiral Hayes stood in the newly constructed Orbital Defense Center, watching holographic displays of Earth's first true space fleet taking shape. Shipyards that had once built aircraft carriers now constructed vessels that incorporated both human ingenuity and alien technology. But these weren't just warships. They were built to protect, to rescue, to create safe passages among the stars. The harvesters made a critical mistake, Dr. Li Wei explained during a global security briefing. They showed us their technology, their tactics, and most importantly, their limitations. She gestured to a display showing the biological mechanical systems that powered harvester ships. They think in absolutes, in optimized patterns. We think in possibilities. The alien children had become essential partners in Earth's preparation. Their memories of harvester tactics, combined with their natural understanding of advanced technology, helped humanity leap forward centuries in development. But they offered something even more valuable: perspective. They don't just destroy worlds, a young crystalline being explained through the new universal translator. They reshape them. Every planet they conquer becomes part of their pattern. The child structure flickered with colors that the translator interpreted as deep distress. They want to make the galaxy predictable. This insight sparked a revolution in Earth's defensive strategy. Instead of trying to match the harvester's technological superiority, humanity focused on becoming more unpredictable, more adaptive. The Global Defense Initiative, formed from an unprecedented coalition of Earth's nations, developed what they called chaos theory warfare. Sarah Chin, working with both human and alien children, made another crucial discovery. The harvester's biological technology isn't just about efficiency, she reported. It's about control. They literally can't comprehend systems that choose to be inefficient for the sake of freedom or creativity. This understanding led to the development of the Quantum Chaos Network, a defense system that deliberately introduced random variations into its operations. Traditional military leaders were skeptical at first, but the alien children helped demonstrate why it would work. Their own escaped ship had managed to evade the harvesters by randomly jumping between systems, defying optimal pursuit patterns. But Earth's preparations weren't all military in nature. The presence of the alien children had catalyzed social changes that rippled through human society. Schools worldwide adopted curricula that incorporated xenobiology and alien cultural studies. Art galleries featured collaborative works between human and alien children, creating new forms of expression that bridged biological differences. The Pacific Cradle itself evolved. What had started as a makeshift refugee center became a living symbol of unity. Floating gardens provided food for multiple species. Transparent domes housed environments ranging from methane swamps to crystalline forests. Humans and aliens worked together, learned together, grew together. We're not just building defenses, Maria Santos observed, watching human children teach their alien friends to swim in specially designed pools. We're building a future none of us could have imagined alone. The breakthrough in space travel came from an unexpected source, a collaborative project between human teenagers and their alien counterparts. They discovered that by combining Earth's primitive fusion technology with the refugees' knowledge of gravitational fields, they could create engines that were less efficient but far more adaptable than standard alien drives. It's not about getting there the fastest, explained Yuki Tanaka, now head of the new Space Adaptation Division. It's about getting there in ways the harvesters can't predict or counter. Earth's first true starship, appropriately named Hope's Cradle, embodied this philosophy. Built in orbit using a combination of Earth materials and salvaged alien technology, it looked like nothing either humanity or the galaxy had seen before. Its organic curves housed weapons based on Tesla's theories, while its hull incorporated living metal that could adapt to damage. But the ship's most revolutionary feature was its crew, human and alien working together, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities. The alien children who had grown stronger under Earth's protection now stood ready to help protect others. As the 3-month mark after the first attack approached, long-range sensors detected more gravitational distortions. The harvesters were returning, but this time they faced a changed Earth. Humanity had taken its first steps into galactic society not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians. In the Pacific Cradle's central plaza, now dubbed Unity Square, Dr. Elena Rossi watched human and alien children practice evacuation drills together. They moved with coordination that transcended their biological differences, helping each other, watching out for the younger ones. They still don't understand, she said to no one in particular. The harvesters think taking in these children made us weak, made us a target. They don't realize it made us stronger than we've ever been. Above, Earth's new defense fleet took position, their irregular formations confounding standard tactical analysis. In labs and workshops around the world, humans and aliens put final touches on technologies that defied conventional logic. And in the heart of the Pacific Cradle, children of 1,000 worlds prepared to show the galaxy what it meant to be truly strong. The Harvester fleet that arrived was twice the size of the first attack force. 24 ships emerged from gravitational distortions, their biomechanical forms casting long shadows across Earth's orbital space. But this time, humanity wasn't just waiting to defend, they were ready to strike back. Operation Firefly was a test, Admiral Hayes announced to the combined fleet crews. Now we show them what humanity can really do. Earth's response fleet seemed tiny in comparison, just 15 ships, led by the Hope's Cradle. But size wasn't everything. The battle began with what appeared to be a catastrophic failure of Earth's defense systems. Satellites went dark, communication networks collapsed, and the defense fleet scattered in apparent disarray. The Harvester ships moved forward in perfect formation, their biological sensors detecting no organized resistance. That's when the trap was sprung. Quantum chaos protocols, execute, Commander Rodriguez ordered from her position on Hope's Cradle. Every piece of apparent failure had been carefully orchestrated. The scattered Earth ships suddenly released clouds of what looked like space debris, but each piece was a specially designed quantum transmitter. The Harvester fleet found itself engulfed in a field of contradictory quantum signals. Their biological computers, designed to find patterns and optimize responses, began experiencing the equivalent of sensory overload. Ships that could shrug off direct hits from conventional weapons started losing coordination as their neural networks struggled to process the chaos. But Earth wasn't just fighting for itself anymore. As the Harvesters struggled to adapt, the Hope's Cradle led a strike team through their disoriented formation. Their target, the massive biological processing ship at the fleet's center. Intelligence from the refugee children had identified it as a mobile transformation center where captured species were reformed into whatever the Harvesters desired. Dr. Chin, now serving as xenocultural advisor on the Hope's Cradle, watched the tactical displays with a mix of horror and determination. Those energy signatures, there are children in there. Hundreds of them. The rescue operation had been planned for months, with input from both human and alien tactical experts. Earth ships launched what appeared to be conventional missiles, but instead of exploding, they attached to the processing ship's hull and began broadcasting signals that the refugee children had helped design. The signals mimicked the biological commands used to control Harvester technology. "We're not just fighting their weapons," Dr. Li Wei's voice came through the command channel. "We're speaking to their ships themselves." The processing ship's biological components began responding to the new signals, its internal systems conflicting with Harvester control. That's when the second phase began. From the debris field emerged hundreds of smaller craft, rescue pods designed to locate and extract specific biological signatures. The Harvesters, their tactical systems still reeling from the quantum chaos field, couldn't maintain their perfect formation. Individual ships began breaking pattern, trying to adapt to multiple threats in ways that their rigid programming couldn't optimize. This was what Earth had been counting on. "They don't understand loyalty," a teenage crystalline refugee had explained during the mission's planning. "They understand efficiency, submission, control, but not willing sacrifice for others." That understanding became Earth's greatest weapon. While the Harvester ships struggled to calculate optimal responses to each threat, human crews made snap decisions based on something the Harvesters couldn't quantify: the willingness to risk everything to save others. The Hope's Cradle took heavy damage protecting the rescue pods as they worked. Other Earth ships deliberately drew fire, executing maneuvers that made no tactical sense, but bought precious seconds for the evacuation. The Harvesters, unable to predict or counter such irrational behavior, found their superior technology countered by humanity's fundamental nature. Inside the processing ship, the rescue teams found something that would change the galaxy forever, not just children being transformed, but entire storage banks of genetic templates. The Harvesters hadn't just been capturing and changing species, they had been collecting the biological data of every race they encountered. "Download everything," Hayes ordered. "Every template, every species they've tried to erase. We're not just saving lives today, we're saving entire civilizations." The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the Harvester fleet retreated not in defeat, but in confusion. They had lost not just a processing ship, but something more valuable, their monopoly on biological manipulation. Earth now had the means to potentially restore species the harvesters had thought lost forever. In the aftermath, the Hope's Cradle's medical bays overflowed with rescued children of dozens of species, some so transformed they were barely recognizable. But Earth had learned from caring for their first refugees. Teams of human and alien medical staff worked together, combining Earth's adaptive medicine with alien biological knowledge. They tried to force evolution to follow their pattern, Dr. Rossi observed, treating a child whose genetic code had been partially rewritten. But real evolution, real growth, comes from choice, from adaptation, from working together. The victory had cost Earth dearly. 3 ships lost, others damaged, and hundreds of brave crew members sacrificed. But they had gained something priceless, hope for species across the galaxy, and a reputation that would change everything. As the rescued children were brought to the Pacific Cradle, a message spread through the galaxy's hidden communication networks. Earth wasn't just a sanctuary for the lost, it was now actively fighting to protect the right of all species to develop in their own way, at their own pace, making their own choices. The harvesters had unwittingly created their worst nightmare, a species that didn't just resist their control, but inspired others to do the same. And this was only the beginning. 1 year after the first refugee ship entered Earth's orbit, the Pacific Cradle had become something its creators could never have imagined, the heart of a galactic revolution. The massive facility, now extending for kilometers across the ocean's surface, served as both a sanctuary and a symbol of hope for species across the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chin stood in the newly completed Galactic Council Chamber, a structure that seamlessly blended Earth architecture with alien designs. Representatives from 17 different species, all former victims of the harvesters, had gathered to formalize an unprecedented alliance. Earth didn't just offer us shelter, a gaseous being spoke through the universal translator, its form shimming within a containment field. They showed us a different way to exist in the galaxy. Not through dominance or rigid control, but through adaptation and cooperation. The genetic templates recovered from the harvester processing ship had proven invaluable. Earth scientists, working alongside alien colleagues, had already begun the process of restoring 3 species thought lost to the harvesters' transformative protocols. But more importantly, they had discovered something the harvesters had missed in their obsession with forced evolution. Life finds its own path, Dr. Li Wei explained to the assembled council. Her presentation showed how Earth's chaotic but natural development had created strengths the harvesters couldn't comprehend. When we protect diversity, we protect our future. The alliance they formed that day wasn't just a military pact, though Earth's quantum chaos technology had proven crucial in protecting other worlds. It was a commitment to a new kind of galactic civilization, one built on choice rather than control, diversity rather than uniformity. Admiral Hayes, his uniform now bearing the insignia of both Earth and the new Galactic Protection Force, reported on the changing strategic situation. The harvesters are pulling back from multiple sectors. They can't predict where we'll appear next, can't calculate our responses. For the first time in their history, they're facing an enemy that doesn't follow their patterns. But Earth's influence extended far beyond military matters. The Pacific Cradle had become a center of cultural and technological exchange. Human children learned alongside aliens, each group bringing unique perspectives to problems. Art, music, and stories flowed across species boundaries, creating new forms of expression that celebrated their differences. We thought we were just building a refugee center, Maria Santos mused, watching a group of human engineers work with crystalline beings to design new types of energy systems. Instead, we built a bridge between worlds. Our Vestor threat hadn't ended. Their ships still prowled the galaxy's edges, but they no longer held their former terror. Earth's defense techniques had spread to other worlds, and the quantum chaos technology proved easily adaptable to different species' needs. More importantly, the psychological barrier had been broken. Species that had lived in fear of the harvesters for generations now saw them as a challenge that could be overcome. In the Cradle's educational centers, Dr. Elena Rossi had developed new teaching methods that worked across species. Children are children, she explained during a xenological conference. Whether they breathe methane or absorb radiation, they all need to play, to learn, to feel safe. Earth didn't just offer safety, we offered childhood back to a galaxy that was losing it. The rescued children from the processing ship had recovered in ways that amazed even their own species. Many chose to stay on Earth, even after healing, wanting to help the next wave of refugees. They became bridges between cultures, their traumatic experiences transformed into strength through Earth's unique approach to healing. Commander Yuki Tanaka, now captain of Earth's second-generation rescue ship Unity's Hope, summarized humanity's new role during the Alliance signing ceremony. We're not the most advanced species, not the strongest or wisest. But we understand something fundamental. The galaxy doesn't need another empire. It needs guardians, teachers, healers. It needs people willing to stand up and say, this far, no further, when faced with those who would deny others their right to grow in their own way. As the first year drew to a close, the Pacific Cradle hosted a celebration that would have seemed impossible months earlier. Species that had once been enemies under Harvester control now shared songs, stories, and dreams of the future. Human children played with alien friends, their differences forgotten in the joy of the moment. Dr. Chen found herself back where it all began, in the communication center where she'd first detected the refugee ship's distress signal. The equipment had changed, now incorporating technology from a dozen worlds, but the essential mission remained the same, listening for those in need. A new signal caught her attention. Weak, desperate, but clear, another call for help from the stars. Without hesitation, she sent out Earth's new standard response, a message broadcast in every known language of the galaxy. This is Earth. We hear you. Help is coming. You are not alone. Above the Pacific Cradle, Earth's rescue fleet prepared for launch. The ships weren't the most powerful in the galaxy, weren't built to any optimized pattern. But they carried something the Harvesters could never understand, the combined strength of species working together by choice, united not by force, but by the simple, powerful desire to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The galaxy was changing, one rescued child at a time. And humanity, for all its flaws and limitations, had found its true calling among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a future where every species could chart its own course through the cosmic ocean.